I use virtualization in a little different way. When I'm gardening, I take about a pound of virtualization per cubic yard and add it to the soil before planting. Turn that over, let it sit a week, and it really helps my garden.
I use virtualization every day. We use it in our data center, and I use it on my laptop every day. I'm running Fusion, I'm running Windows apps, I'm running Linux apps, I'm on a Mac. It's all good. It just all works.
It's the ability to increase one's utilization of the resources, having far less downtime, and keeping their applications available for a much higher percentage of the time. At the same time, they're also saving money on not having to power up as many systems. They can consolidate and keep their applications up and running while saving power and electricity and air conditioning.
Boss comes to me and says, can we do this? I can actually go and test it out really quickly. I can throw up a small VM, test it out, see if it'll work. So I do kind of an initial kind of test development build to figure it out, and then I do another one from scratch that's the gold build where I'm doing everything just perfectly, right? And then that becomes the template. And I found that's worked really great for getting those templates created. It's worked well.
We've narrowed down probably about 600 servers to an environment of 20 clusters. And I mean, we've just gotten into it. It's only been about a year. We have another 5,000 servers that we're going to virtualize as much as we can.
Our goal is to virtualize every server going forward and not have to buy that additional new hardware.
The real amazing part of virtualization for us is the ability to work with a lot of schools and nonprofits. So small budgets, really tight constraints, and what virtualization allows us to do for them is really consolidate, use the existing hardware they have. They may have 10 servers really not being utilized, and it's costing them power, cooling, all the stuff, and they have very limited resources. So, we can consolidate that all down to 1 or 2 servers and, provide them all the benefits of virtualization at a really, really compelling price. Being a responsible business and being a part of that and being a part of the community and using virtualization as a driver to improve those underlying functions of information technology for those types of organizations is critical. It's kind of all that stuff under the sheets that, most of the people who work for those companies and nonprofits and schools don't really know about, but can make a huge impact on freeing up resources and money so they can actually affect, getting kids smarter, teaching them, being able to pay their teachers more, and putting all that money and value into the human side of it while we take care of the...
Virtualization is great because we speak to a lot of customers, and our primary focus is in the financial market as one of the main sectors. And we found one of the biggest things that people have been doing is reducing their CapEx, which people know about already using virtualization, but being able to reduce OpEx. Virtualization does add to a lot of operational costs, but to find a way to be able to reduce that makes your life much easier. It enables a dynamic data center, which I think everybody, especially in this forum, is going towards cloud computing, going towards a dynamic data center.
In our environment, we're doing multi-core. We're testing the processors and the platform, so it's easier now with virtualization to put a heavier load on the system to work more parts of the system in one shot instead of having to, it saves us time, I guess is a way of saying it. Instead of having to install an OS, install the application one at a time and test it, we're saving probably 5 days worth of testing. We can consolidate onto one box in less than 2 days, basically, is what it comes down to.
It's made me more proactive because I can see in one console where resources may be lacking or where they need to be bumped up, or if there's a VM that hasn't even been used, I can shut it down and no one even notices because they haven't been using it, and it's just so much more easy to manage.
As a partner of VMware, I use virtualization in my lab to test and validate configurations and solutions that we're going to take to market or configurations for our customers.
I really love the fact that I can drop a server in 5 minutes and I can have a new server up and running. Somebody comes to me with a new application saying, I want to try this. I go to my dev environment, I say, okay, here's a new server, give me the app. I load the app up, we give it a shot, 15 minutes, we're trying what they wanted to try. Fantastic.
From my perspective, It's a simplistic way of storage provisioning and providing the end user with it's provisioning very quickly. So speed to deploy, really.
To reduce the amount of servers that we have to purchase new.
What I do is I normally make an image. Any applications that we get in, we test it against the image. If it breaks anything, we do an analysis, find out what broke. That way I'm not reinstalling stuff on actual systems and having to, do repairs and reinstall software loads, all of that. No backups, no re-images, no nothing. Just restore the last snapshot.
It's that big picture. It's not just the little pieces, which are all important in the lump sum, obviously, but it's being, it's the blending, as we talked about, of the physical, the network, the hardware, the services, all becoming that, what you guys are calling the virtual cloud. That's, to me, that's the big picture. And all the things that plug into that make that highly successful in being able to use things like Thin App. I think that's a phenomenal tool to be able to come in and now connect my virtual environment with my physical environment and be able to report, assess, and react. That's the key thing, right? Reacting agilely, smartly, without just throwing. We have a threshold spike here, and how do I address that? Well, let's address it smartly.
I've been able to build out a massive Exchange 07 virtualization environment in our dev environment. So I've got about 10 2007 VMs, so it's made it really quick and easy to provision those with templates and do a lot of testing.
It is wonderful to be able to use my home computer and be able to run it with Windows, and I have a Mac, and we're Macintosh people. So I love being able to run Fusion on my computer and get to applications that I can't normally run because we have a PC world. I don't know what they're thinking. But, and my husband uses it to run his applications. So he has a VM on his computer, and it allows him to just take his own computer to work and run what he needs to on the PC version.
First, we use the cold clone product to just move our old servers as is without having to rebuild them into the virtual environment onto fewer servers. I've emptied out already an entire rack of Windows servers just in the last month. And then we got the hot conversion up and working, and it's nice. I'm at home, I'm taking classes, I click convert, a few minutes later I check back, it's finished, pop, got it converted, it's working.
I use it for the Linux systems that we've been loading in our development environment, and it has helped immensely. It helps for system migration, upgrades. People do not know they're on a virtual system and really could care less. It just works.
We are perhaps one of the first companies that runs our build environments also in a virtual manner. So we have one big physical server. We use it as a host server, and then for different types of builds that we have to run parallelly, we create different VMs, and then we run our builds on that. Similarly, for testing, we have got virtualized build lab, test lab, and once the builds are ready, they are installed, and we have a wide range of coverage, wide test coverage, because we are using VMs for testing. It's pretty easy to test now. You can test if there's a failure, you can just roll back and start over all over again. It's really simple.
With VMware, we basically slice up our hardware into smaller VLAN virtual machines. We provide that to the customer to their specific requirements of storage, RAM, and CPU, and we basically give it to the customer for them to deploy their software or their websites or whatever else they need to use it for.
We use it to consolidate servers, use it for power savings mainly. I mean, we had over about 100 physical boxes, and we've dropped to probably about 25.
The main benefit from a network engineering perspective of virtualization is the ease in which to create and provision new VMs without having to go through the entire server build process, where you have application tied to specific hardware, tied to specific function. Now we have the latitude and the ability to create VMs almost at will, just on the fly, just keep on running.
It simplifies things. We have always kind of ever-demanding, ever-changing demands from our business groups. I work for agriculture company, so that industry was changing a lot in the last few years, and it will continue to change in terms of world simply demanding more food. So we have to change, and our business changed, so we had to adapt. So VMware just came in nicely to help us, simplify things we do, introduce the concept of virtualization, then help us consolidate the server base in the data center, and recently we introduced the VDI as a new concept. So we plan to keep using VMware to do more with less, if you can say like that.